to shine. Give 'em what you got, baby. Time to show them you are. It's time to shine. Gotta give 'em what you got. Gotta show 'em you
Welcome to the Chix Podcast, where we bring you curated, authentic, Christ-centered realness every single week. And we are back, okay? Like we never left. This is our third episode into our romantic relationships series. And listen, if you have been tuning in, I already know. You've been getting your life. Like, listen, this series has been everything already. Like, it's been thebomb.com. Like, it's been everything. And so today we're going to talk about, what do you expect? Let me just drop that right there. Just boom. Like, the first one.
That's a big word.
No, it is. The first episode, we talked about our emotional baggage. The second episode, we talked about real love, right? And towards the end of that episode, we just had to have some honest dialogue, even within ourselves, about locating exactly where we are in this process. And I think it's brilliant that now, this episode, we're going to talk about expectations, because I believe expectations, it has a lot to do with where we are, where we've been, and where we're going. And so let me just sit on back. Let me sit on back. And I'm going to sit back because I am a woman that in the past, I'm getting better, that in the past, I've had very high expectations for men that I was in relationships with. And so when those things weren't met, I was out. Point blank, period. And that's not always the best way to handle it. And so let's kind of dive in tonight, like, about, like, what are your expectations? Do you have any expectations for the man that you want to be in a relationship with, or the man that you are currently talking to and you're dating? Where are you in the spectrum, and what are the expectations that you have for the man that you want to be with? I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry.
I went first last time.
Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, go on, Lisa.
Lisa,
This is the easy
help
one
us.
for me.
Help us, yes. Help us.
They always easy for Lisa. She just say,
Okay.
we be over there like
Shade given.
she be like,
Okay.
this is easy.
Okay. So, I expect, even dating and marriage, but I'll go back to dating. My thing is, I expect honesty. Like, if you lie to me about something, then once I find out that you've lied, to get that trust back is darn near impossible. So I expect honesty first and foremost. Like, without trust, then there's nothing. So I just can't even go any further. Like, once you break that trust, it's a wrap. And I know I should probably have more grace, but I just don't in that area. But I also expect patience. I expect support, the best that you can. It may not always be perfect. It may not always look the way I want it to, but I need to know that you're trying. So patience and support and honesty. Those are my three big things, because that's what I give. So if that's what I'm giving, that's what I expect back.
Oh, that's
and that's dating and marriage. Those are my top three. So the physical stuff, I mean, that comes and goes. That's, especially when you're married, like, that's up and down, whatever. That's not a thing. It's really just having that foundation of honesty and trust and support. And I would say that would be it for me.
I will go, even though it's too stressful to even talk about relationships in general. It is. I get very anxious. It's very stressful for me. That's just how I am. That's where I'm at. That's locating myself. That's where I'm at right now. It's a lot. But definitely, I can give you two things that I definitely would expect is one, integrity in all areas. That's very important to me because that locates you in itself. And then two, over the last 20 years of just being friends with you guys, I've learned how important communication was. So obviously communication, just because it's gotten me to this point. And I have a great relationship with all of you. And I believe it is because of communication. So I know that will be a really strong foundation.
That's good.
In fact, were you going to? Because you definitely can take it.
Okay, I'm gonna be brief. I agree with the ladies prior about integrity and honesty. Like those are top notch for me, as far as what I would want. And then also loyalty, like just someone being in your corner and loyal. You have to be for me as well. Just like I'm gonna be for you. Like I'm gonna be your biggest cheerleader, and I need that as well. So that's it.
I would say authenticity, because I feel like some people associate me because of like my schooling or my family's schooling and background as a certain caliber of person, if you will, which is so ridiculous to me, right? So sometimes people assume that based on that little bit of knowledge, then they can sometimes not be authentic in like spaces with like my family and people who may have some kind of star status in some way, if you will, you know what I'm saying? Or like, or just highly educated or whatever it is, right? So I sometimes feel like I've been in spaces where the person didn't feel comfortable just being okay being the person who didn't go to college, but I got this and that going on. Like like you need to be okay with who you are and be able to be that authentic self in any situation. Don't shrink back or change just because of the environment and whatever your insecurity that you have. So I've experienced that before, because I don't judge the people I date based off of what they have accomplished in terms of their work in a certain way, as long as you you doing your best and you doing, what I'm saying? You're not like just able-bodied and ain't doing nothing, then, I'm okay to try to see what's up with you. So that's a big thing for me. It's just a person being able to just be their authentic self all the time. Just real.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is my problem. I just witnessed a problem I have with expectations. That's how I was reviewing these questions. So I agree with everyone on what they look for. I look for those same things. But, as far as like kindness, definitely mutual interest. But as far as like my expectations with when I'm seeing or dating someone or just meeting someone, there's an expectation of assertiveness that I expect. Because I'm calm and mild mannered, but I'm also excited. I don't know, I can kind of cross lanes or whatever. But most people who know me generally, they see me kind of like as a calm, like even toned or whatever. Those who are closer kind of know a bit more of the range. But so with that, I'm a bit more impulsive than I may come across. And I think that just goes with how I like approach a lot of the things that I do or done, like with school and with work and stuff like that. So I feel as though the guy can be like all of that, but he may not even make it into the gate if I sense a lack of assertiveness. Like if there's not even a tinge of assertiveness or like follow through or like just initiative on something basic, like starting the conversation. I mean, that's a little bad. Like who all has to start? You don't have to start the conversation to get in the gate. Like I can do that, and I do, but I don't know. It's just something, it's a good thing, but I don't feel as though it's a 100% necessary expectation that has to be like just like me. But I do have that expectation. I do want to see that mirrored back. Or I expect that mirrored back, and that can be like very unspoken. Like we probably won't talk after that, and he may not know. Oh, she ain't called me. I'm like, well, you ain't called me. It's just like that's a problem. Like assertiveness is great, but that's been like the darker side of like I notice that there's like an unspoken expectation of me, of someone that I may be interested in or dating or see or run into. And if I feel like you like, then I'm like, well, bye. And so
and she could be totally off.
Exactly.
I could be totally off. And that's like first encounters. And so that's why I kind of like frown on that, because like, not for the first encounter, but it's something that I noticed with myself when thinking about, this topic. Like that is, I feel, one of my unreasonable expectations that I just have inherently that I would have to like push against. Like the guy's not like, I don't feel like he's asserting himself, then I just automatically act versus communicate. I just act accordingly. Like, okay, he's not assertive, so I can't. So bye. But yeah, that's me.
This is so good. This is so good because Courtney, you're not alone. Like,
I got friends.
You have friends in the same boat with you.
Okay.
Me.
All the people.
So like for me, like I'm now learning like how to have realistic expectations. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about, to me, like non-negotiables. Like for me, it's like you have to know your purpose and you have to be, in a sense, walking in it, right? You have to be a gracious man. Like you have to extend grace and be gracious, period, across the board for me. That's really important. And then of course you have to be able to not just communicate, but comprehend.
It's so sad that
reading
has
is
to be
fundamental,
said.
you say?
Listen. I was so focused on what she was saying that I did not expect that. I was like, oh.
You have to understand what I am saying to you when I say it
understand
to you.
the words that are coming out of my mouth.
I cannot.
Okay.
This is
Yes.
Like we can't be speaking two different languages now.
No, like we seriously cannot be. And even though people have the ability to talk and listen, like no shade,
It's true.
they don't always get you.
Oh, Jesus. It's so funny.
No, for real. And then those situations become toxic.
Period.
Yes.
It's real. It's real. The misunderstanding, the different pages, it becomes toxic. And so you hit the nail on the head. It was just hilarious.
Yes, I wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't either.
That was great.
If Courtney hadn't busted out, I would have missed the whole thing.
Like
It's real. Like
you
we
can
have to be
communicate, but
real.
can you comprehend me? Okay.
Like no, like seriously, we have to be real because if we have all these expectations and they aren't met, then like we're at a loss. Like
Impact.
And I think that you brought it up towards the end, Courtney, about having, I'm just gonna say it, that's an unrealistic expectation to demand something like that early on for someone that doesn't like, and I'm preaching to thine own self. Be
She
very clear.
is. That's a fact.
Be very clear. And so I've had to like reel back just in the past couple weeks. Like, I'm expecting him to do this. And
Right.
we're not there.
No,
You know what
not
I'm
at
saying?
all.
Like,
And beyond you not being there, what if he just doesn't do that, but he's just a bomb guy though?
exactly.
Like,
that
he ain't doing
part.
this one thing, so
That's-
it's over.
Ooh.
He
Yes.
ain't doing this one thing. He's amazing, but when I text, he don't answer. Like, that right there is dumb. That's the dumbest.
It
That's
is
dumb.
crazy. It's
Yep.
crazy. And so then it makes me think, okay, what baggage, what stuff, what am I carrying with me on this journey that I need to release and let go of? Because it's about to
Yep.
jack up something so
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah.
And even if
Yes.
I'm not at the door of a relationship, I need to let this bag go. It's like weighing me
Period.
down. You know what I'm
Period.
saying? And so, what would y'all say? For oh yeah, we we about to go there. Courtney has opened the door. We are walking in it.
You're welcome.
Good old Coco.
Enter to this place
I'm
with
saying,
Thanksgiving. I know the baggage. Well, I know the roots of that for me.
let's talk about it. What
And
is it?
I'll be quick so we can all circle around because it's everybody giving theirs. Okay.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Mm.
Don't go to me.
Mine is
Got it.
Got it. Okay. Mine, I believe it's rejection is me for the root of that. And that can be a whole other like series on its own. But just like I think that's where like that lack of patience or like impulsiveness, like to just get on it, because maybe it's like that immediate feedback that I get when I see this type of action, then I already know that means that. But when there's like kind of dead space or I'm reading something or perceiving something to be dead space, then it's like, oh, what things are like not settled or in place. It's what I'm thinking. And so, I'm wondering, I feel like that's feelings of rejection and like self-doubt. And things like so that's definitely just to pinpoint my roots. I think it would be rejection connected with self-doubt, with me kind of wanting or having that expectation of being assertive and balancing that with me being impulsive. Is it assertive or am I just being impulsive? And I think that teeters with those issues.
That's good, Coco.
Yeah.
Next.
Period.
I know what mine is. I'm just like, oh. I agree with Courtney as far as like that assertiveness, and that for me, it's like I need to know that how someone feels about me immediately, all the time, every single day. Like, and I think for me, I think the real roots of it comes from abandonment, and feeling like, if I do so, like if you're not continuously telling me that something's wrong, then you're gonna leave me. I mean, not wrong. If you're not continuously telling me that something is good about me or that you like me and this is why, then you're gonna leave. Because in that space of me not hearing that, that's what I'm thinking, is that you don't like me. For whatever the reason is, it's like, you don't like me, you don't want to be around me, you're gonna leave. And I think that's the root cause of why I would like someone to be like assertive, like in telling me and doing this and like in my face, because otherwise I'm thinking that you don't.
Thank you, Faye. That made me think about me. I'm like, I'm the same way. I didn't really. Oh, I didn't really realize it, but it's a rejection issue, and I need someone, which I've worked through over these years of being married, but constantly like needing someone to tell me how they feel, show me how they feel, and my love language is affection. So I went through this even with my husband. Like, if you're not showing me enough affection, then I'm like, I'm not good enough. Something's wrong with me. You
Mhm.
don't love me enough. But
Mhm.
just realizing like that's a whole rejection thing and not thinking that I'm enough. And I've had to work through that over the years. And even prior relationships when the guy who I thought was the one who I wanted to be the one, but he wasn't. But just having rejection in that relationship because he was cheating on me and ended up marrying somebody else. And within that, like, I wasn't enough. I just wasn't enough. And I wanted to be, and I fought hard to be. And at the end of that, I felt like I wasn't enough. And so that was really hard. That was a very hard place, a hard time in my life, which even sent me into depression for a little while. So, dang,
Mhm.
that's serious. But
Mhm.
I've never really thought about it like that.
Mhm.
That's exactly what it is. Not feeling like I'm enough.
Mhm.
And I realize that that's like in every area of my life in some aspect that I've been working through, but I've never thought about it in terms of my relationships.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So re-ask this question because I feel like I'm not understanding it because something isn't like immediately coming to me that's similar to what they're saying that I feel like. It's kind of weird.
Yeah. So this question is about like your emotional baggage, or like what are your root thing, or what is your root thing? What is your root issue um, that is centered around how you, um, I guess I could say how you expect others, in particular a man, to engage with you, right? And so, what is that baggage that has set forth maybe some unrealistic expectations or some things that maybe shouldn't be there, all because of this one thing, this root issue that you've
Mm.
noticed?
It's just like this thing when you're not interested in me.
Mm,
You know what I'm saying? So like in taking care of me,
yeah,
like providing security for me.
Mhm.
yeah,
When you're not interested in protecting me.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like these situations where like we get out the car, or you get mad and you walk off and you leave me behind, or you don't kind of make sure I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like it's dark and you walk into somewhere and you aren't looking back to see, am I okay? Or um, just several different, like there's several instances like that where I just feel like I'm like, oh, if this really went down, you probably leave me. You probably run off and leave me, like kind of thing, right?
yeah,
Um, and I think that might be, rooted in abandonment, you know what I'm saying? And just like being in spaces where I didn't feel safe and protected
Mhm.
multiple times with like one, my mom passing, but then also when my father in some instances I felt like didn't choose me, left me even though he was there. So it's like I want to feel that security.
yeah.
Yeah. Makes
I know
sense.
that's like
That's good.
a very serious one for me. It just makes me feel I'm like I can't be like, you know what I'm saying? I,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I need to know that you just like care about how I'm doing, my well-being and making sure I'm good.
Mm.
This is
That's good.
so good. Like, this is so good. And um, for me, I guess I would say that um, it's, it's definitely rejection from my father being absent. Um, for like majority of my life, in and out, and then came back, like that whole disappearing act ministry, right? Um, and
Oh, a
then
spade a spade.
no, like we're better now. But because now I've grown into, I won't even go there, but we're better now. Leave it at that. But for me, it's that like when you aren't present for me,
Mm-hmm.
like that's a major thing that triggers that rejection on the inside, right? And so when you aren't present for me and when you aren't showing up for me like I need you to, when you aren't supportive, like those things trigger that rejection that I have to check. And I say that I have to check it because it's unrealistic to think that somebody can show up for you 100% of the time
Exactly.
and still have a life and have a job and have a purpose and have responsibility and have, what I'm saying? And so
Absolutely.
Yep.
that's why this conversation is so good, because when we look at the different root causes and how we've all kind of shared about it, it's just like we have then internalized the bad thing within ourselves. So we'll say, if they don't show up for us, well, I'm not good enough, or I'm not this, or I'm not that. When the reality is you are all of that, but you're looking through a lens that's broken.
Yeah.
And having expectations and being able to set boundaries and, just being able to have these honest moments with yourself and really assess where you're at, and then say, okay, on a blank sheet of paper, these are realistic expectations. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
On the other side, these are unrealistic expectations that's rooted in rejection. So for me, like when certain things show up, I'm like, oh, this is off. Let me get back into the right lane. You know what I'm saying? And I love this.
Yeah, that's good, Tiff.
I know.
That's
We should do that for real.
No, for real.
Like do a list, 2 sides.
Yeah.
Well, I need to do it, but have it be ready. So I just
We
check the
all
list,
do.
make sure I'm not tripping before I
Yeah.
decide, because I'm impulsive with that.
Very.
Yeah, like between a list and for me, accountability, where I can call Angela or call whoever is available and say, hey, I'm having a moment. Am I going crazy? Is this a real thing? Should this be a real thing? Or am I looking through the wrong lens right now? Because, we're on the journey to wholeness. You know what I'm saying? There'll always be things and stuff, but it's our responsibility to know what we need to do to be our best selves in relationships, period. And that's what this relationship series is all about. Even though folks can't wait to be booed up and all that good stuff, and if you desire it, it's going to happen. But at the end of the day, what is the relationship like with yourself? So listen, we could go on and on.
Yes, we could.
That went by fast.
Yeah.
We could go on and on. And I just know y'all, thank y'all so much. Like,
Thank you.
thank y'all for sharing, like everybody. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for like pushing past the difficult moments of being vulnerable with the entire world. I just really appreciate
Be clear. With
All
the
the every bit of it.
we appreciate your vulnerability with the world. So,
Exactly. Oh man.
but I'm sure, I'm clear that people are going to be so blessed by this, and I cannot wait to hear the feedback, the comments, and the input. So Ife, let them know how they can stay connected, how they can just reach out to us, because I want to hear some stories. Like, I just want to hear about what's going on in everybody else's world.
Right.
Yes. We definitely want to hear from you. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Chix Podcast tonight. Definitely follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at the Chix. Follow us and subscribe and like all of our videos on YouTube at the Chix Podcast. Make sure you download this podcast on your preferred streaming service, and we will see you next time where we continue this discussion even further. All right, we love you, and thanks so much for tuning in. Remember,
It's time to shine.